Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Lou Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great day. I just got finished watching the Jerry Jones, Michael Irvin interview, and I want to give you my take on it. I'm going to upload the whole interview and things on it, but you know, the first 40 minutes of it is all rehashing everything in the past of the Cowboys and the documentary and everything else. The last 15 minutes or so was really getting into the meat of Micah versus Jerry. Now, Jerry Jones, Micah Parsons started asking, Micah Parsons, geez, there's too many M's in here. Michael Irvin asked him about the contract and stuff. He said, did you offer him a contract that would make him the highest paid? And Jerry Jones was very, very poignant on this to say it was the most guaranteed money for a non-quarterback. Now, here's what I'm going to say to that. Now, okay, just because you offered a contract and you can put in there that you had, more guaranteed money than anybody else, which may be true. But see, the thing is the question is how long was that deal for? How long was that deal for? Because you could go through and say, you know what, Micah, we're going to offer you a $120 million contract fully. We're going to offer you $120 million fully guaranteed. And that sounds great. But it may end up being that, oh, by the way, it's a 10-year deal. It's a 10-year deal. So in which case, we have your rights for the next 10 years, and we only actually have to pay you $120 million. So that's where you look at this and say, there's room where it might not have been as good as Jerry Jones says. Because see, in any disagreement, there's your side, there's my side, and somewhere in the middle lies the truth. So Jerry says, we had a deal. Now, Micah says, we had kind of conversations. We were supposed to be talking about the team and things like that. Now, Jerry Jones makes it sound like he has it right. He literally told Michael Irvin, come to my office and I'll show you what we had. We had the basis of the deal and stuff, and we sent it to the agent, and the agent said, shove it up your ass. Now, do we know that the agent said, shove it up your ass? And if he did say, shove it up your ass, is it because it wasn't actually a good deal? See, here where we are as Joe the fan and being emotional and stuff, and we hear most guaranteed. You notice he didn't say the highest paid fully guaranteed, per year. And that's one of those things that it's kind of like what people like to hear because they want to hear, I'm the highest paid. Okay. And he also started talking about, what we had to do with Dak Prescott. Like what we had to do with Dak Prescott was a good thing. Like what we had to do with Dak Prescott was a good thing. It wasn't. That was not good negotiations. And you can't equate a quarterback with an edge rusher. A quarterback, you touch a quarterback below the knees or in the head, you're getting a 15-yard penalty. You just are. They protect those guys more than anybody else. And if you have like a catastrophic ankle injury like Dak Prescott had, chances are you can come back as a quarterback. That's not the same for an edge rusher who's getting double teamed and triple teamed and people leg whipping and everything else. It's war down there. You got one chance, one shot, one opportunity. And so you have to maximize what you get. Now, Jerry Jones, in my mind, what this was about is using his relationship with Michael Irvin to kind of say, well, Micah should be doing the same thing you did. You came to my office, we worked out the deal, you sent it to your agent to go ahead and sign it over. And that's what this whole thing was about. Jerry Jones trying to turn court of public opinion against David Magenta and basically say, oh no, we were good. That guy is the one who's the problem. He also tried to bring into it that, when I make a deal with a guy, the agent, of course, is going to take his money and we're never going to see him. But there's a problem with the player that, the agent's not going to be anywhere to be found. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I also hear you saying, well, when you're talking about spending money and everything else, you've made mistakes in the past that cost you. Yes, they did. But here's the thing. I can understand when you look and say, we kind of screwed the pooch paying Michael Gallup. But that's on you on that one, because Michael Gallup's first year is better the second half than the first year. Michael Gallup, his second year, you looked at that and said, oh my God, we got a legit guy. 1,100 yards. The next year drops down to 800. The next year, injuries start, and it ends up being in the 400s. And that's when he had a torn ACL. A torn ACL, you decided, okay, we're going to give him $35 million fully guaranteed while he was injured. That, my friends, that's one of those ones that you should have said, let's see more leaves on the tree. Micah Parsons, every single year he's been there, 12 sacks plus. He kind of brought in here, he's trying to force Micah Parsons' hand, so to speak, in my mind. He's trying to get Micah Parsons basically to go ahead and, say, because he brings up the Herschel Walker. He's like, do you look at it and say, pay one guy or get three guys? Well, you got to make sure that the three guys you get are going to be better than that one guy. You got to make sure they're better because, the New Orleans Saints did a Herschel Walker trade. Yeah, they did. With the Washington Commanders. They traded their whole draft to the Washington Commanders to get Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams smoked a whole lot of weed. The Commanders got all of those picks. And do you know, not one of those picks panned out? Not one of them. So a bird in the hand beats two in the bush. Now, Jerry Jones, here's what I really believe. Jerry Jones is looking for an off-ramp for his negotiations, and he's asking Michael Irvin for directions. That's the bottom line. Jerry Jones wants to get this thing done. He's talked his shit. He's gotten the publicity, and now you see him trying to backtrack to get this thing done. He's trying to say, well, we own his rights for the next 3 years because we could, make him play on this year's contract and then franchise tag. But that's not what he wants. And when you talk about the money that we're talking about tying up with the franchise tag, here's what you have to understand. You got $24 million this year, right? Hard number. You franchise tag next year, that's a hard number as well. And I think it's about 26, okay? And then it's the escalation of that. So you're going to spend $80 million plus for the next 3 years for him, hard numbers on the cap. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. In the long run, you get the deal done. This year gets down to $10, $12 million instead of 24. You got the trigger for next year where you may have that number down at like CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's number, even though he's getting paid $34 a year, it's only 14 this year. Jerry Jones is looking for some help to get this thing done, and he's trying to do it without the agent. Peace.